everyone, and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to The Sound Bearier, Northeast State's official podcast, where we'll be breaking the barrier by getting to know some of our faculty, staff, and students. This is your host, Matthew Poole, and joining us today is Northeast State alumna and communications associate, Kirsti Graybeal. Thank you for being with us today, Kirsti.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're excited. So, Kirsti, to begin with, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what brought you to Northeast State initially as a student.
Okay, so I am actually from the area, born and raised in East Tennessee. I currently live in Johnson City, so I'm very native to Northeast State here. And I guess what really brought me here was I had previously attended an institution and just didn't really feel like I was at home. It was smaller, but it was just something that I tried really hard and it just never seemed to work out for me. And it was a very last minute decision. I think I applied Northeast State on a Thursday and I was here on Monday in classes. So it was very sudden and very, very quick, but it worked out really well and has worked out since. It's been wonderful. I ended up coming here and getting a degree in sociology and speech communications. So it's been a lot of fun and I love it and I love everybody here. So
absolutely. And in the time that we've worked together, I can definitely already tell the impact that you've made on students and the impact that you make on the campus in general. I mean, you get tons of compliments by other employees on campus, and you're definitely making a huge impact, and can't wait to see all that you do with Northeast State moving forward. So, Kirsti, you're an individual who likes to set personal goals for yourself and achieve them. You enjoy the outdoors and also have a passion for reading. So, can you talk a little bit about the goals you set for yourself this year in regard to hiking on Roan Mountain?
yeah, so I actually have been hiking one of the trails on Roan Mountain is called Carver's Gap. So it's right there whenever you get onto the top. And I have always heard that entire, I think it's about a 2.5 mile hike from the beginning to end, and you hike all the way back. So 5 miles total, and I have always heard that within each season, it is a totally different place, and it's just beautiful year-round no matter what time you go. I went up there in the summer of last year, absolutely loved it. Everything was so alive and so green, and then I actually got to go this past January when there was about 3 inches of snow on not only the ground, but the trees and everything around it. And it was a very unreal experience, but it was absolutely beautiful. So I'd recommend it to anybody who enjoys even a fairly easy hike, but it can be a little hard on the way up. So
for sure. That sounds absolutely amazing. And like you said, completely gorgeous. And listeners, please take note of Kirsti's recommendation. I think that it's something that you all can benefit from. So on top of this, Kirsti, you set out this year to read one of multiple different genres of books. So what do you feel like you can gain from engaging in this challenge?
Yeah, so right now I am really focusing on once a month trying to read a memoir or an autobiography from a vastly different community of places, because I just feel like in today's time it's really beneficial to not only know what's going on but understand how it happened and what the lead up to that was. So I'm kind of reading different types of communities and different types of experiences, older things from history, current things from people. I recently just finished Michelle Obama's memoir, so that was definitely her autobiography. That was something that was really interesting to kind of see how she grew up. She grew up in the 60s, so that was something that was really cool to see that her background is really similar to a lot of people's, but she also grew up, as a black woman in Chicago, so that was definitely cool to see her build up and throughout her life.
For sure. And, switching the gears here, you also love animals. You've definitely spoken about the different pets that you have currently. So how many pets do you have specifically, and do you have a pet that people wouldn't expect you to have?
Yeah, so I have 3 cats right now, and then I have 2 pit bulls, a boxer, and a Shar-Pei Beagle mix. So he's very stubborn, also very sassy. But I have a leopard gecko as well, and then I guess the one people wouldn't expect would be a snake. So that tends to scare a lot of people, but I actually think that they are awesome pets if you can get over the fact that they don't have any legs or anything, but they're super, super chill pets. So
Right. Yeah. Among the people that do have snakes, that is a common answer there, and you are mindful that people who they may have a little bit of reservations when it comes to snakes, but they are gorgeous beings. So
That they are.
awesome. So, Kirsty, you're an alumna of Northeast State, as well as the communications associate, like we mentioned, for our enrollment services department. But you're also taking classes toward another degree, correct?
Yeah, it is a certificate for customer sales and service, and I am mainly taking that just to kind of be rounded out, because while I am a sociology and speech communications major, there were just aspects of it that I think business and understanding customers as a whole would really help, especially in my position where I am now. We talk a lot about the different types of people that you're going to run into when you're talking, and in my position, I'm not necessarily persuading people to come here, but if they have questions, I want to be able to answer it and match, what they're wanting and how, if they need help, being able to help them the best way I can. And so I think that degree in and of itself has helped me a lot in that area.
For sure. I think that degree will definitely benefit you and can benefit a lot of other individuals who are in a similar job. So, and since you've been attending for Northeast for at least 4 semesters, you're pretty much, you know your way around town as a student as well as a professional. But what's been your favorite part, in your opinion, about being a student here?
My favorite part, and this is really from the get-go of being here, was the professors and honestly the people that are just around campus. I have had, quite literally from day one, I have had specific professors that have just walked me through everything. The same person who enrolled me into my first semester of classes, Trisha Crawford, I ended up getting a sociology degree because I loved how she taught. I loved the energy that she put into all of her classes. And then Ruth Livingston was the one who taught me, or took me into speech communications. And she was also very, very eager to get me into that area. And so she just really reached out and cared and made sure that I was comfortable in what I was doing. But among that, there have been so many other professors and so many other staff members that have just gone above and beyond to help me, and has really just been made the experience here so much better.
Yeah, I share that same mindset. Being an alumnus of Northeast State, the professors really make a difference, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. They definitely are outstanding professionals, experts in their field, but they also truly care about seeing you, get to that next step in your journey of life, whether that's a career or the college of your choice. So what piece of advice do you have for new students who are just beginning their journey at Northeast? Since you are kind of a lot of times the first thing that people see walking through the front doors, you're at the very front of the college. If somebody comes up to you and they're trying to, figure out, how do I navigate this Northeast State life? What would it be that you would recommend to these students?
I would definitely recommend that you get involved. And I know that's something that is always advised, but it's advised for a good reason, and I think that's just because being involved is so important. I started here being extremely shy. I would have never guessed that I would have been in speech communications, but it was because I got involved with other people. I got involved in things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with at first, but became comfortable with afterwards. And I also think it's important that you go in with this mindset of you don't have to know exactly what you're doing the second you walk through these doors. You have plenty of time to figure out what you want to do. There's no timeline for that. So if you decide, a semester or 2 in that you aren't really liking what you're into, it's totally okay to change. On top of that, I think it's a great idea that, when you have electives, you have time to pick all these variety of different topics. Pick something that maybe you don't already have a firm grasp in. Pick something that would maybe branch you out just a little bit, and sometimes you'll even find out that you like that a lot better than what you were doing. So that would be definitely what I recommend to new people.
That's outstanding advice. I have to second that. And broadening your horizons is definitely something that college is about in a lot of people's opinion. And so I think venturing out, getting involved, but also taking classes that really challenge you, get you outside of your box, are absolutely integral. So thank you for sharing that, Kirsty.
Yeah.
So, Kirsty, do you plan to transfer and complete a bachelor's degree or a master's degree? And if so, what are you planning on majoring in?
Yeah, so I am hopefully transferring to ETSU here in the fall, and I'm looking at getting a bachelor's degree in communications, so sticking with that field, and minoring in ASL and communicative disorders. And with that, I would love to take it to a master's level and do speech language pathology, and not quite sure on a doctorate just yet, but that's kind of what we're sticking with goal-wise, is to go up to master's for now. So
Yeah, I think that goal definitely fits you well, and I think that you would excel at that specific career, speech language pathology. You would definitely make a difference. And do you think that you maybe want to eventually move, or do you plan to stay in the area, or have you really thought that far ahead?
I definitely have. I love to travel. I'm a huge traveling person, but like I said, I've grown up here. So I'm kind of at that point where I'm not quite sure exactly what I want to do, but I do have a friend who is in Texas, and I would love to kind of just feel it out and see if there's anything down there where she's at. So that way, if I did decide to move, I had someone that was there to support me as well. So I think that would be really interesting. That I think if I was going to go somewhere else, it probably would be a rather dramatic move, but I think it would be worth it if I did. So
I think so too, and I think that's a good idea too. If you were to move, having a familiar face to kind of help you get integrated to the area that you're moving to would be a good idea for sure. So Kirsty, to finish us off with, if you had to describe yourself using one word, what word would it be and why?
I would have to say that my one word is spontaneous, and that is a word that I have heard from other people that have described me as well. I'm typically the kind of person who, when I want to do something, it is usually without reason. I think it's a great idea, and I'm like, all right, let's go. I have frequently been the person to text some of my friends and just be like, hey, do you want to go do this today? And it can be an hour-long trip, and they're like, I wasn't really thinking about it. And I'm like, let's just go. Let's do it. And it's been some of the best experiences that we've had, and it's always been a lot of fun. So
for sure, a lot of times the best times are ones that you don't plan.
Exactly.
I'm a firm believer in that for sure. So Kirsty, thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day in general to be with us and being a part of the podcast. I had a blast. I hope you did as well.
I did, yeah.
Fantastic. So listeners, thank you all again for tuning in. We appreciate you listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening from. Check us out at northeaststate.edu and thesoundbearier.com. We'll talk at you next time as we continue to break the barrier.